As we get better at doing all the right things, we work hard, we save our money, we invest it, and our account balances start to grow. Guess what also starts to grow? Our profile for the bad guys trying to scam us. And unfortunately, the scam I'm going to share with you today is all too easy for the bad guys to do, and it's increased by over 10x in recent years. Let me illustrate by a true story. Maryland woman wakes up one morning, her cell phone doesn't work. It turns on, but she can't send or receive text messages. She can't make a phone call. She's like, it's probably an outage. It'll be okay in an hour. As the day progresses, it's clear she's got a problem. So she goes to the cell phone company, and the cell phone company is like, yeah, your phone number has been ported to somebody else. And it's what's called SIM swapping. And so you need to contact your bank immediately. You need to contact your credit card companies immediately. You know, the two-factor authentication that we all do, right? We're doing an online purchase and we get sent a code and we have to verify that we are who we are. Well, unfortunately, scammers have figured this out and they use that against us. This security system that was put in place is now being used against us, and it's way too easy to do. All they have to do is convince some phone store employee that phone number, your phone number, is theirs. And then maybe they buy a new phone, they schmooze with the salesperson, they port over a phone number that they're not supposed to be able to port over, your phone number. And now they can make charges on your credit card, they can transfer money out of your bank account. And there's an example of this example I was just telling you about. This woman lost $17,000. And you know something that's going to make her heart drop? I certainly did, because I put myself in her situation. Originally, her bank said, oh no, it's not our fault. We sent out two-factor authentication code. So we're in the clear. You know, it's your problem, not our problem. Now, the bank later reversed course and said, okay, you're not responsible for it. But you know, that took several months. And can you imagine how you would feel losing $17,000? I've heard stories of people losing over $100,000. Somebody left a comment in one of my previous scam videos, somebody 70 years old, and said, you know what, I lost my entire retirement savings to a scam. So these videos are critically important. I want to share with you what they are. This is called SIM card swapping. And I'm going to share with you at the end what you can do to protect yourself from it. Again, all they have to do is get your SIM card code. Now, some of our new phones, some of us are transitioning into electronic SIMs. Is that going to help us? I don't think it will, because as long as they can convince a phone company employee to give your phone number to them, then they're going to be able to take over the two-factor authentication. You know, what can you do to protect yourself? You know, first off, the first thing that many of us don't realize is you can likely call your phone provider and say, I want a PIN number for my SIM, right? So not only when you get the card, the new SIM card, you'd have to put in a code that only you know. And if it's the electric SIM, it's the same thing. So that's a simple thing. We can all just call our phone companies and say, hey, I'd like to do that. And then another thing that many of us have probably seen recently, I like to use it, is authenticator apps, right? It used to be this two-factor authentication was important because we didn't have authenticator apps, but now there's all kinds of services out there. This is not an endorsement for Google's Authenticator, but it's what I use personally. I used to use a different application, but then 1 year I switched phones, and guess what? That authentication app, it doesn't allow you to take it from phone to phone. And what I like about Google's Authenticator is you can take a picture of a QR code, and when you swap phones, it makes it relatively simple to swap. So whatever the authenticator is that you like to use. But, you know, Warren Buffett has a saying that, you know, job number one is never to lose money, and job number two is never forget job number one. And, you know, as we work hard, think about how many years it takes you to save up $500,000. I mean, for many, many of us, that's a lifetime worth of work. Fewer than 10% of all Americans at 65 retire with over $1 million. And if you've put in all that work, if you've done all the right things, I don't want somebody to steal your freedom. I don't want somebody to be able to steal, right as you're getting close to the goal line, I don't want somebody to be able to steal that future from you. So, these are things that they're a nuisance, but they're things that we have to think about. Another thing is our passwords, right? How many times have we reused a password, right? And I'm not going to raise my hand because I don't want to jinx myself, but do I have one password that I've used at least 2 times? Maybe guilty as charged. And so we have to look at these things. This is just the world that we're in now. And they do have password managers. Now, they're not without their downside as well, right? If one of these password managers gets hacked, which happened recently as I'm recording this, within the past 2 years as I record this. Now, do they have access to your passwords? I don't think so, because the password managers do a really good job of protecting that data. I think it's called salted encryption. I once taught myself to computer code, but think about protecting your personal information, personally identifiable information, I think is what it's called. So be careful when you talk, and I'm guilty of this. I've mentioned my age on this channel before, and it's probably something I shouldn't do. But, even stuff as simple as your address, your age, the names of your siblings, just be careful. And particularly on social media, we have to be really careful because if we're kind of showing off, let's say that we get a new car or we're on a nice vacation and we post that on social media, well, yes, our family's watching and they're happy that we're taking vacation. But who else is watching? The bad guys are watching, and they're thinking, maybe this person should be a target. And then there's all this information in what they call the dark web, and for next to nothing, they can buy information on you. So just be super careful. And as we get older, it's harder to keep up with technology. But I think it's super important that we do, particularly when it comes to our cybersecurity, our identity protection. So password management, watching videos like this to see what the latest scams are. As a society, when our phone rings, we used to feel like, I should answer it. It's rude to not answer. I remember when we had a landline in our house and, the phone would ring and, we might be eating dinner. We'd all kind of look at each other and say, I really don't want to answer the phone, but it feels rude not to. So hopefully we've gotten past that, just like when somebody knocks on your door. When I have 2 daughters, when my daughters were younger, it's like, hey, just because somebody's knocking on the door doesn't mean that you have to answer. So, it's okay to not do these things in order to protect yourself. The society tells you that maybe you should, like answer your phone. In fact, that comment I mentioned earlier, this person that had most of their retirement savings stolen, that was their takeaway. You know what? I just don't answer my phone anymore. If I want to make a phone call, I make the phone call. But I don't make it easy for scammers to scam me. So I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, I think you're really going to enjoy this video here, which talks about 8 things that I want you to think about stop doing as you approach your 50s and 60s to enjoy your journey more. I hope you found this video helpful. I'll see you in that one. Bye-bye.